If you ask people to list the most luxurious cars, Mercedes is almost always mentioned. Why? But how can Mercedes be so successful throughout the years? How did they achieve their unique success story despite the very intensive competition? It can be explained in this quote by Carl Benz, the inventor of the gas-powered engine and the founder of the German Benz company.
The love of inventing never dies.
Indeed, Mercedes has a long and glorious history, one that's inextricably linked with the very origins of the automobile. Needs to know more details? Let's dive into the history of this giant industrial empire. Stay with Mr. Drive, it will be very interesting. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Benz Mercedes-Benz traces its origins to Carl Benz's creation of the first petrol-powered car, the Benz patent Motorwagen, financed by Bertha Benz and patented in January 1886. The first appearance of Mercedes among automotive brands was in 1926, but the attempts behind goes a long way before this. Actually, the story goes back to 1883, when three men, Gottlieb Daimler and Wilhelm Maybach and Carl Benz, met to share their passion for building a convenient transportation mode that didn't require hours, and they laid the first brick in Mercedes-Benz, establishing Benz and SE to put their dreams into action. But after many disappointing experiments, there was no progress in producing their long-waiting vehicle powered by an engine. The two co-founders left the company and advised Carl to stop his hopeless attempts. It seemed the whole thing was a waste of time, as they thought. Of course, they could never imagine that Mercedes would be the most luxurious car in the world so soon. But when was the brand introduced? This brand has a rich heritage that spans more than 150 years, dating back to 1886, when the Mercedes Jelinek vehicle Mercedes was first produced by Daimler Motorengesellschaft, DMG. Mercedes was the then 11-year-old daughter of Emil Jelinek, a businessman who worked with DMG. He commissioned DMG to create a vehicle that would be named after his daughter Mercedes. In 1926, Mercedes-Benz was formed by merging the companies of DMG and Benz and SE, and the result of this cooperation was the Model K, the most reputable vehicle worldwide. Since then, the brand entered a new era reflecting the modern style of Mercedes-Benz. Now we look at the history of Mercedes models, their features, and why this car represents a revolution in the car life cycle. Mercedes Simplex 60, 1903. Nothing can be better than this auto if we need to trace it back to the first Mercedes in history. Actually, attempts to produce it started quite some time. It was the outset of the automotive world. Presented in 1903, the Mercedes Simplex 60 followed the footsteps of the first Mercedes car, the Mercedes 35 horsepower, developed by Wilhelm Maybach and Paul Daimler. But their work to produce this vehicle started in 1901 and became one of the best models of the time. However, the car had some structural issues from a law-pressed steel chassis and an engine with a cast alloy 9.3 liter. This engine delivered a top speed of 109 kilometers an hour. It was a huge hit, but it took over 2 decades to update the engine and introduce anything new. Mercedes Simplex 1828 horsepower, 1904. After 1 year, Mercedes introduced another car, the base for manufacturing the 35 horsepower Mercedes. Jumping inside this car would give you the experience of what classic cars looked like and how Mercedes developed itself through the years in all facets. It was the first vehicle to bear the name Mercedes and the first car in history to combine the basic principles of modern cars. Mercedes Simplex was the highlight of the nice week in 1901, but it wasn't available for sale until 1904. Also, it was the last car based on a motorized carriage. Not only a well-designed car with an excellent engine, but it also participated in the nice week races as a sports car powered by a 60-horsepower motor. Mercedes Simplex was part of other prominent sports events and won rewards because of its superb performance, like the Gordon Bennett race in Ireland. Mercedes Grand Prix, 1908. Mercedes-Benz cars have always been synonymous with luxury, but their speed and involvement in motorsport have only enhanced this reputation. After Lautenschlager won the race in Dieppe, France, 9 minutes before his primary challenger, Victor Himri, beat an average speed of 126.5 kilometers per hour, the Mercedes Grand Prix became the first automobile preserved as a genuine sports car. 200 horsepower Benz, 1909. The iconic vehicle worthy of every superlative, 200 horsepower Benz or Blitzen Benz, presented a contemporary design offering an awe-inspiring engine performance and a top speed of over 147 kilowatts, 200 horsepower. It's not easy to pick only 5 facts about a car packed with technical wonders and innovation because there were endless unbelievable technologies behind this masterpiece in this era. It was faster than real aircraft. Yes, it is according to Mercedes' official site. After Himri lost the competition the year before, he decided to give this car a chance in Brooklands, which paid off. He reached the finish line at an average speed of 202.7 kilometers per hour, which was beyond the boundaries of possibilities since he broke the 200 kilometers per hour barrier for the first time in Europe. At one point or another, Blitzen Benz or Lightning Benz made a huge furore during this time, breaking all records, especially when it was shipped to America. Many highly profiled drivers chose it to reap the rewards. Mercedes Grand Prix, 1914. A combination of luxury with high status and speed. The challenge was to exchange the 21.5 liters used in the previous model for 4.5 liters and deliver higher power or at least the same as Blitzen Benz. How did they make it happen? They used a sheet steel cooling mantle and depended on a special steel and 4 valves to each cylinder inspired by a 4-cylinder aviation engine. The result was rewarding, and the car reached a top speed of 78 kilowatts, 106 horsepower. Mercedes Benz Nurburg, 1928. It was the first Mercedes series-produced passenger car powered by an 8-cylinder engine. Mercedes-Benz Nurburg had a unique interior with a luxury finishing, and the engine was a 4.6-liter straight with 8 side valve units giving the maximum output equal to 80 horsepower. This car could travel 100 kilometers per hour, less than the previous version, but as we said, it was the first to transmit more than 2 persons. Mercedes-Benz SS 27,170,225 horsepower, 1928. The company unveiled a new product bearing the name SS Super Sport model. This car significantly surpassed any previous victory. It held a 6-cylinder engine under the hood producing 125 kilowatts, 170 horsepower without a need for supercharging. Mercedes-Benz SS won triple rewards at one event, the German sports car Grand Prix on the Nürburgring, thanks to its superior performance and superstar racing drivers Rudolf Caracciola, Otto Merz and Christian Werner. The first edition of the Mercedes-Benz SS was a synonym for a new stylish trend during this time. Mercedes-Benz SSK 27,170,225 horsepower, 1928. It was specifically designed to be on the same level as the latter. But how to be competitive with yourself? It came with striking features that enabled Rudolf Caracciola to win 3 different tournaments by climbing hills. So why not, given that the engine could reach a top speed of about 192 kilometers per hour with a small weight that would let the driver soar into space? Mercedes-Benz 770 Grand Mercedes, 1930. 1930 was the year of Mercedes since it unveiled Grand Mercedes 770 as a successor of its types but with a sophisticated end. An 8-cylinder supercharged engine operated this car with a 7.7-liter capacity. It generated 150 horsepower. Honestly, this prestigious car came with a luxury salon designed for the most discerning clientele and did its job well. Mercedes-Benz W25, 1934. W25 was the first racing car designed to apply a maximum weight of 750 kilograms rule for the vehicle. This rule came after the organizers of competitions wanted to limit the output power and the top speed hit by Mercedes drivers. But an unexpected issue emerged a day before the International Eiffel race. The vehicle exceeded the weight restriction by 1 kg, making it ineligible for this tournament. there was no way to surrender because it was Mercedes. The technician scrapped the paint off to reduce the car's weight, and it was a brilliant idea because the racer could participate in the competition. Not just that, he won the race, another spectacular success story in the history of the motorsports industry. From 1934 to 1936, W25 was part of almost every race, and the designers didn't stop developing and enhancing its features to make it highly represented in nearly every aspect of sports cars. Mercedes Benz W25, 1936. We've tried to understand how this car was not a spaceship. Rudolf Caracciola reaped 3 international records, reaching a top speed of 372.1 kilometers per hour. This vehicle was considered the first modern car to feature a V12, but it couldn't appear in the Grand Prix race because it exceeded the weight limit. However, its engine generated around 60 kilowatts, 80 horsepower output, and in November 1936, the records resumed again when Caracciola celebrated the splendid victory of the 5-mile and the 10-kilometer runs. Mercedes-Benz W125, 1937. To get ahead of the competition, Mercedes had to come up with a new design after its designers realized that W25 was no longer competitive. This eye-catching chassis was powered by an 8-cylinder engine and ready to go up to 435 kilowatts, 592 horsepower. This speed limitation couldn't be broken until the 1980s. Yes, it was a miracle in all ways. W125 became one of the world's most recognized and best-selling racing cars during the 1930s, dominating all winners' circles. Mercedes-Benz 320, 1937. It's a 6-cylinder passenger car and an updated version of the Mercedes 290. The design supported safe driving and a comfortable ride. That's why you can see its chassis was a swing axle coming with wheel suspension. It symbolized independence and power, with a 3.2-liter side valve engine producing 78 horsepower output. And it gave a top speed of 126 kilometers per hour. Moreover, this vehicle is unique at this time because it enhanced travel comfort and efficiency since it reduced fuel consumption. Most importantly, some editions of this car were large enough to accommodate 7 passengers. The car was available in world-class colors with tech solutions to all customers and dealers at this time, like convertible models, which were very stylish in the 1900s. I bet still now, I still like the sensation of being behind the wheel of a cabriolet automobile while the wind is howling around me. That's why Mercedes has a groundbreaking company at all levels. Ready for excitement? Did you know that Mercedes-Benz 320 was the first car to have a so-called exterior case for luggage? Making it perfect for extended travel hours. Mercedes-Benz W154, 1939. A new regulation arrived in 1938. All cars that wished to compete in the next championship had to have a minimum of 3 liters of displacement. This limitation was set to reduce racers' speed and make the race more competitive. Mercedes was always here, and it upgraded its engine to be a V12 producing 333 kilowatts, 453 horsepower, and gifted Rudolf Caracciola the 3rd title of the European Championship. Mercedes-Benz W165, 1939. German designers developed this complicatedly structured V8 engine in just 8 months. But they did a miracle, and the car hit a top speed of 272 kilometers per hour. Mercedes-Benz 300 W186, 1951. No matter how old you are, the chances you've run across one at some point are close to impossible. In 1951, Mercedes-Benz 300 W186 was presented for the first time at the International Mobility Show in Frankfurt. It is still produced under the name of Adenauer Mercedes. The saloon and cabriolet versions of this 4-door vehicle, which seats 6 people total, are available in 2 body styles. And it isn't like any other Mercedes vehicle either. In addition, other opulent choices were available. Let's preview some of them: Becker radio, VHF mobile telephone and dictation machine. The last option was dedicated to politicians and business people who wanted to announce any speech during their journey. It was like a dream car. So, there's no wonder if you know that the first one who used this car was Konrad Adenauer, the first Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany. To enhance the safety of all passengers, Mercedes Benz 300 featured conical pin locks to keep doors locked during driving. And after the end of World War II, this flagship Mercedes-Benz model of 1951 returned Germany to the auto industry, making it the leader in this domain. In 1957, Mercedes introduced a new edition of W186 by adding a petroleum injection intake feature that could be mechanically controlled. In addition, in 1958, the option of an air conditioner was introduced to the automobile for individuals who couldn't stand the heat. Wow, really? It seems there were many features of this excellent car, but what is the highlight? The torsion bar suspension. It was a faultless feature to make the car adjust to heavy loads. Mercedes-Benz 220, W187, 1951. This model said a lot about how the German automaker has always cared about every tiny detail to make it the top 10. No, it's actually the top in the world. W187 was among cars powered by a single overhead camshaft and produced 80 horsepower output. It came at two different speeds, 140 km per hour for the saloon and 154 km per hour for the cabriolet. This vehicle was about breathtaking in every way. It had an impressive interior setting area with an elegant touch offering comfort and safety proportionately. The classy W187 was the right car for the aristocracy and was henceforth only ever seen by people with a strong sense of flair. Mercedes-Benz 300 SL W194, 1952. After the Second World War, Formula One named a new set of regulations to put in practice in 1954, and automotive enthusiasts in Mercedes were excited enough to resume production of racing cars. That was how the company reformatted the saloon car W186 and built up its new racing car, W194. The designers used the existing components of the basic engine, axles, and transmission, derived from the 300 models, the Adenauer Mercedes. It was an all-new vehicle by Mercedes, making it the first racing vehicle produced after the war. Not to mention SL refers to superlight due to its solid and streamlined chassis painted with sparkly gray to reflect the rigid space frame of aluminium magnesium sheet. 6-cylinder engine, 125 kilowatts, 170 horsepower, and roof-mounted rotating doors became an iconic trademark of this automobile brand named after Gullwing. Mercedes has continued to produce Gullwing over the years with these innovative Gullwing doors, demonstrating the elegance and sophistication of German engineering via the use of these startling Gullwing 300 SL. Unfortunately, this monstrosity was phased out in 2015 when the spectrum around it faded. But if you want one, you'll need at least $1.5 million in cash on hand. Mercedes-Benz 220, W180, W128, 1954. Most Mercedes buyers insist on being chauffeured around, but if you were the first user of this new patent body model, I guess you would have a different opinion. Driving this car is an existing experience in itself. But why? Introduced in 1954, the 220 was the first 6-cylinder model featuring a body design offering 85 horsepower and 4-speed manual gearboxes. It was spacious and cozy, boosting the sense of stretching on your favorite couch. Mercedes-Benz W196R, 1954. This time, the German manufacturer is willing to take the world by storm with a completely new car. And the result was W196R. Sturdy chassis, springless valves, freestanding wheels, light space frame, and a more smooth riding experience due to adding a torsion bar suspension. W196R was an unbelievable racing car with a displacement of 750 cubic centimeters or 2,500 cubic centimeters without either placing a supercharger or restrictions on fuel consumption. This supercar was developed since the competition committee allowed participants to get very high speeds. Mercedes Benz W196R 1954 2.5 liter. So, we are here again with W196R, but this time the engine's displacement was only 2.5 liter, and it was the definitive departure of this version from the classic monoposto based on freestanding four wheels. At the same time as uncovering the standard W196R, Mercedes came up with not a streamlined vehicle but a more adjustable style to be fitted in with extremely curvy race circuits because it enabled drivers to measure curves more efficiently. Like the previous W196R, this monoposto racing car made an impressive hit from the open race in the European Grand Prix at Nurburgring. The 2.5-liter engine vehicle was able to deliver 213 kilowatts, 290 horsepower. The victor was Juan Manuel Fangio. Mercedes Benz 300 SLR W196S 1955. There's no wonder when we tell you that Mercedes won the Sports Car World Championship in 1955 with this magnificent car design concept, 300 SLR W196S. It's a typical W196R with two seats. The difference between W196S and W196R was that the first was powered by a 3-liter version of the 8-cylinder engine, which went against Formula One standards. Also, the cylinder blocks were not from steel. Instead, Mercedes relied on a special light alloy to make the vehicle faster. Also, the engine was run by premium petrol, not methanol, making it more reliable with superpower, beating any other competitors. As a result, the car made remarkable victories at a bunch of races, including the Mille Miglia, the Eiffel Race, the Swedish Grand Prix and the Targa Florio. Speaking of the Italian race, Stirling Moss and his co-driver Dennis Jenkinson snatched the winner title, recording a top speed of 157 km per hour. This car was unbeatable in every competition in which it took part. Mercedes Benz 300 SLR Coupe, Uhlenhaut Coupe, 1955. It's more luxurious than simply being a racing vehicle. But it's Mercedes, the best of nothing. Rudolf Uhlenhaut determined to build an innovative coupe vehicle. His design was based on a Type 300 SL sports car, and he wanted to have a car more comfortable for long-distance races. That's why this version bore his name, Uhlenhaut Coupe, delivering a top speed of 290 km per hour. Mercedes-Benz 220 SE Heckflosse, 1959. Indeed, W194 was the true legend of Mercedes. But, at least for me, 220 SE is a true legend. And we will tell you why. This saloon vehicle was built to resume the success of Mercedes racing stories, in particular, to offer utmost comfort for the participant. Mercedes-Benz 220, W111, W112, 1959. Mercedes uncovered a new luxury model of 220 with the slogan "the new 6-cylinder model, a class of its own." Look at this wonder! This motto rang so true. Not just because of how Mercedes has become the first choice for many high-profile figures worldwide or because of its enormous market share, but the consumer image and experience speak for them. From the first moment of launching this new passenger car model, the car enjoyed high customer demand. Indeed, it was not a totally new model. On the contrary, W111 and W112 were the top luxury models of the previous Mercedes 220. It belongs to the fintail design but has reliable German motor-powered 6-cylinder engines ranging from 95 to 160 horsepower. Then the carmaker presented a profoundly revised 220B, 220SB, and 220 SEB range, which made a real difference in its sales and market value. All collection has the same design with different engine power. Not to forget that W112 was not just a true eye-catcher on the road, it was a monster in any racing car, reaping all victories from 1963 to 1965. Mercedes-Benz 600, W100, 1963. During the past 1950s and 1960s, Mercedes directed all its efforts to make this fancy model, W100. It was powered by a 6.3-liter V8 engine generating 250 horsepower. Also, the car could accelerate from 0 to 62 in just 9.7 seconds with a top speed of 127 miles per hour or 408 kilometers per hour. That was a superb performance due to the 4-speed automatic transmission and power-assisted steering. A dual-circuit braking system enhanced this model's safety with extra bark discs and hydraulic for seat adjustment and opening and closing doors. The car summed up all concepts Mercedes struggled to show up. It reflected the company in its love affair with V8 and horsepower to create something extraordinary. Mercedes-Benz 250s to 300 SEL W108, W109, 1965. The company continued its work on these cars until 1972. Designed by Paul Bracq, this car has timeless decency beating even today's fashionable models. The 2.5-liter engine was backed with a system to strengthen the torque corresponding to each unit. In addition, the oil system was developed to embrace an oil-water heat exchanger to enhance the heat load. In 1968, the company discontinued this lineup and replaced these two models with 280S and 280SE, which were offered in the same design with only differences in the engine. After a few months, the company was ready to introduce a new model following the same pattern and mode of W108 and W109. It was 300 SEL 6.3, synonyms for quietness, gentleness, and ease after redesigning its engine. Mercedes-Benz S-Class, W116, 1972. Its signature feature screamed opulence, ranging from luxury-class saloons equipped with high-end automotive standards to a setting that lasted for several decades. So, there is no wonder that it has the name S-Class. However, the company used the term S before to distinguish the luxury lineup. This car was the first official designation of S production. The benchmark for S-Class is the safety system placed in the barking discs, ABS. It was the first in the world that gave the driver the ability of steerability even under emergency conditions when you could surprise with something just in front of you, and you have to stop right away. As a result, ABS has become the standard feature throughout the automotive world nowadays. Not just that, S-Class raised the level of safety by going to extremes, repositioning the tank above the rear axle to prevent it from collapsing, door handlers, strengthening headlamps, turn signal lamps, and dirt-deflecting side windows and tail lights. Thus, this model was the first luxury-class saloon that came with a diesel engine, and some of its versions had a turbo diesel engine, a passenger car series. Mercedes-Benz S-Class, W126, 1979. This car is capable of blowing your mind. But, inside it, there is nothing to worry about, even the avalanche risk. Kidding! Not the literal meaning, but you will love every detail about it. Have you asked before why S-Class? What is it supposed to mean? Sorry for not mentioning that before. S-Class stands for Special Class. Introduced back in 1979, the iconic S-Class, W126, was another iteration of the Mercedes-Benz S-Class. It resumed this design popularity by offering a sleek design on the outside and luxurious details on the inside. At the beginning of the 1990s, Mercedes announced that it had built 818,036 from W126. Mercedes-Benz S-Class, W140, 1991. Once you get in, the car would give you the impression of riding in a decent living room. And yes, it is not only my opinion. Actually, it's Motor UND Sport Review, 1991. It had a durable homogeneous bodywork incorporated with classic elements reflecting the glory of the reputable German carmaker. Then Mercedes built around 432,732 examples of W140, including sedans and coupes. Mercedes was tasked with providing the most potent sedan engine in the world in its day, reaching a top speed of up to 300 kilowatts, 408 horsepower. As a result, the 6.0-liter V12 M120 engine made its debut, being the entirely new one. With this motor design, Mercedes came to the list of auto companies with a high priority of reducing fuel consumption and exhaust emissions. This M120 engine was among 12 worldwide, which featured selective anti-knock control and was optimal for fuel use. Absolutely, there is no shame in describing it as the finest car in the world, and any other description could be non-justiciable. Mercedes Benz S-Class, W220, 1998. Super luxury sedan with an imposing presence comes with impressive features. Here are some of them: an engine with optimal combustion characteristics for dual ignition and 3-valve technology, a somehow eco-friendly vehicle reducing the level of emissions, and more options for customers. The S320 was powered by a 3.2-liter V6 engine, 165 kilowatts per 224 horsepower. The S430 came with a V8 engine generating 205 kilowatts, 279 horsepower, and the V8 in the top-of-the-range S500, which delivered 225 kilowatts, 306 horsepower. The designer of Mercedes kept the sense of spaciousness and innovation, making the body much more smoothie. At first glance, someone uncurious about cars cannot find the difference. Still, with an intensive investigation, you would catch why this car is effortlessly included in the best cars throughout history list. W220 was presented with at least 30 technology innovations, for example, Distronic Intelligent Cruise Control, Navigation System, Congestion Warning, Automatic Cylinder, and Prix Safe Safety System. All of these technologies intensified the only aim of Mercedes during the riding into a sheer enjoyment, with multifunctional benefits like declining the fuel consumption without compensating for quietness. Mercedes Benz S-Class, W221, 2005. So many collectors still seek this masterpiece to get this wonder to this day, making it the best-sold saloon variant in the world. In this S-Class W221 series, Mercedes set new dimensions to offer comfort for passengers and an exceptional driving experience. Also, the model introduced a new braking system, Brake Assist BAS+, which came with a radar sensor to strengthen safety function. With a coupe touch, this car has been uncontested in terms of the amount of luxury, performance, and features it offered within its segment. And here are a bunch of these features. Multi-contour seat with massage, night view assist, an enhanced command system, the preventative Prix Safe, a new 173 kilowatts, 235 horsepower, 6-cylinder diesel engine, a new generation of the active body control ABC to improve the driving experience, SEL button to switch between driving programs, the natural material to achieve the optimal vehicle weight, dynamic and durability features. Actually, this car was worth a racing champion. However, it was not a sports car, but it should win all victories. Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren, 2005. SLR McLaren was one of its most unique models. Admittedly, it was a limited series, but it deserved all attention. Just like a spaceship, this car was capable of embarking on a formula speed. Actually, it was what the designers really ought to do. Under the hood, there was a beast, a 5.4-liter supercharged V8 engine that could generate up to 626 horsepower. That made the Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren one of the fastest cars on the road, capable of reaching speeds of up to 200 miles per hour. The Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren was also equipped with an advanced suspension system and carbon ceramic brakes that provided unparalleled handling and stopping power. Although it was only produced for a few years, the Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren remains one of the most iconic and preferable cars ever made. Mercedes-Benz S-Class, W222, 2013. In fact, with all the options around, the starting price of W222 can easily climb up to over $95,900, directly competing against top-end other brands' limousines such as the Bentley Flying Spur or the Rolls-Royce Phantom. The interior was an updated version of W221 with a wider screen, leather seats, and a wooden dashboard. So, we need to focus on the technology and luxurious features like road surface scan and advanced air suspension to detect any uneasiness on the road. W222 was the first production model in the world that came without a single light bulb, only LEDs. As a result, it's far more luxurious than any other S-Class. And don't forget the perfume dispenser with a manual switcher so people who like the leather smell could still get what they want. Mercedes again has set the bar for automotive engineering, comfort, efficiency, and safety. Mercedes AMG GT, 2015. It's impossible not to love it insanely. The car is operated by a twin-turbo 4.0-liter V8 engine, producing 577 horsepower and 479 lb-ft of torque. This car has changed the luxurious sports car's principles since it has a top speed of 192 mph and can run from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.7 seconds. It was also named the 2015 Car of the Year by Automobile Magazine and Supercar of the Year by Road and Track Magazine. As of June 2015, Mercedes has sold over 10,000 units of the Mercedes-AMG GT. Mercedes-Benz S-Class Maybach, X222, 2015. We all felt a wave of awe when hearing Maybach for the first time, right? In 2015, Mercedes wanted to bring back Maybach glory by producing this car, and it started promoting it as a sub-brand to Mercedes. With a fuel-injected 9.4 liters engine, this lineup represented advanced luxury. It was the first model of S-Class Maybach as Mercedes wanted to compete with Bentley Mulsanne Rolls-Royce Phantom 8. It tried to say to the world that it still had the ability and capability to manufacture the most expensive car. Thus, not only is the S-Class Maybach one of the most luxurious and comfortable cars in the world, but it nestles up to 455 PS under the hood, courtesy of an eager V8. Maybach turned out to break all impressive numbers when it comes to luxury, comfort, and high-end technology. Mercedes-Benz S-Class, W223, 2020. Currently, it beats both classy and sporty cars, BMW, Audi, and Porsche, in terms of luxury, durability, efficiency, and, most importantly, what it offers for the price. In terms of engine capability, it has the same characteristics as the previous generation of S-Class, X222, with two petrol and diesel six-cylinder. It's not just about the limousine look, it's about remarkable features based on artificial intelligence to complete the best innovative experience with handy steps and a touch operation to cut off any distraction during driving. The MBUX, for example, is integrated with tons of innovative features, but the most important one is smart home integration, which is linked directly to your home system to check out what you want while you are out, like turning on or off lights. It's your virtual assistant to keep your home safe and sound no matter where you are. This feature is now available in a number of Mercedes classes, not just S-Class-like. Moreover, the vehicle is smart enough to tell you what's up. So you won't have to go to the technician or spend loads of pounds on a maintenance center to find out what the issue is, since all the information about the engine data will be illuminated on every input and output of your vehicle. The features of this model are insane. Mercedes-Benz C-Class, 2022. Mercedes has thoroughly redesigned its entry-level sporty sedan for the 2022 model, however, it still sticks with its cutting-edge formula. As a result, it won any compilation against its permanent rivals, Audi A4, BMW 3 Series, and Genesis G70. It applies particularly to the interior. So, what is new about this car? Or, to be honest, everything. The vehicle presents new technology features, engine performance, equipment, fuel economy, safety, and warranty. In addition, it's jam-packed with features drivers will love, including a blind spot assist system, keyless start, and heated seats. The most significant change is under the hood. The C-Class will now come with a 48-volt electrical system providing an extra power boost. But like the late editions, the vehicle is powered by a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, and it's based on a rear-drive platform. And, of course, all-wheel drive is available as an option. So whether you're looking for a luxurious ride or a powerful engine, the Mercedes C-Class is sure to turn heads. Did you like this story about the legendary Mercedes brand? Thanks for liking and subscribing. This helps promote the Mr. Drive channel.